Again, I'm going to, if you get this window, the only thing I'm going to change in this window is down here where it says devices, where it says universal. I'm going to change it to iPhone because I'm making an app for an iPhone. So that's the only thing I'm going to change down there is the iPhone right there. And then I'm going to, after I change that iPhone right there, I'm just going to go to the main storyboard right here. Inside the main storyboard, which is again up here. If you ever get lost in this window, if you remember from last class, if you ever get lost in this window, always click in the folder in the upper left corner. See the folder right there? Always click in that folder right there. In this case, I'm viewing that this is the board where we're going to build our app. We're going to build our app actually inside of here. Notice how it says at the very bottom, view as an iPhone 8 right here. So you can change the view if you want. I'm going to use iPhone 8 just because I have an iPhone 8. That's why. I could change the testing also up here. Do you see where it says test person app right here? I can test it as an iPhone 8 as well. Do you see up here in the upper left corner? So again, I'm going to build my app with iPhone 8 interface, and I'm going to test with an iPhone 8 interface. Everybody see how to do that? Let's change the background color because I don't want my app to have this nice white background. I want to have a nice colored background. To change the color of the background, I'm going to click in this big white area here, the view here. And once I click on it, I'm going to go to the attributes. If you remember to get to the attributes, it's in the upper right corner. There's one that points down right here. If there's one, look at where my cursor is up here. It's one that's pointing down. Do you see that right there? If I click on that, it's going to point down. This is the attributes for this window. So again, make sure you click in the big white window right here. And you click on the attributes up here. And you'll see it says background right here. Do you see it right here? It says background. And if you click on that, you can choose a background color. If you go to custom right here at the very bottom of that pull down window, again, it says background here. Go all the way to the very bottom. And it'll pull up the color wheel. And I'm going to make, since Nathan Explosion is a kind of a, he's a character. We'll give him a kind of a warm character. There we go. Something like that. We'll give him, oh, that's, you can't really tell. We'll give him a color. So that will change the background color of your app. Again, so over here, if you don't see this over here, it's this window right here that points down. It's called the attributes. You click in this window here. Next, we're going to put his name on there, and we're going to align it. We're going to learn about auto layout today. To put his name on there, we're going to use the text tool. If you remember how to put text on the screen, it's going to be a label. To put text on the screen as a label, we go all the way up here where the little arrow is in the circle with the arrow and the square right here. Do you see it? I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to where it says label. If you don't see label in there, I'm going to close that. So most likely the default looks like this. See, the default looks like this. So I'm going to type in the word label, L-A-B-E-L, and inside the search, and I'm going to take the label and I'm going to drag it out onto the screen. And notice as you move it around the screen, I'm going to kind of put it in the middle. If you put the label in the middle, you'll notice there's a line that shows up. Do you see that? That's the center line of your app. I like to center things on my app because I find it very easier to align things to the center. So I'm going to let my label at the top right there. I'm going to double click on the label, and I'm going to type in my name of the person, Nathan Explosion. Explosion, S-P-L-O-S-I-O-N, Explosion. Again, if you release it, it's going to there, and I can line it again. If you select your text, you have all the different fonts and colors and things over here. So if you have some text, a label like this selected, you have all the different colors. You have a color if you want. You can change the color. Again, if notice, okay, the first one says plain text. That's fine. Here's the text. You can change the text if you want by typing it in this box. The next one is the color right here, and if you click on that, you can go to custom again, and you can change the color if you want. I'm going to give it a nice big red. Again, that was right here, color. This is the system font right here, so if you want, you can click on that, and it'll give you a box where you can choose what kind of font you want. We'll learn about different font families and so on, but right now I'm just going to use a heavy or bold one. And then to change the size, you'll notice right here there's like a little size option. You can actually click on the arrows that go up to change the size. Notice how it's growing from the left side though as well. Again, that's right here. It's under font right here. You can do a center line if you want so that it grows from the center, and I'm going to center everything. Again, this is center align, left align, center align, right align, justified, and then this natural. Natural is just whatever. If you have more than one line, like we're gonna have a box of text for his name, his profile. You can have multiple lines of text right here. In fact, you can have a box that has only specific amount of lines and then scroll through that box. I think I talked about a scroll box before. So did everybody see how to change the font? Okay, make sure you know that. Again, I just put a label on. I dragged from the label out there. Once it's out there, I can change the text, the name there. Okay. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to align this, okay, to the screen. Then we're going to take and put a picture on there and align it to the text. So I think I tried to explain to you last time how you want to align things to each other in space on the screen. Okay, it's going to take you a long time to get to alignment, but here's how we do it. I'm going to do two things for this text. First thing is I'm going to tell it to be in the center. So it'll always be in the center of the app, no matter if it's on an iPad or on an iPhone XR or whatever. We're going to say center. Then we're going to tell it how far down from the top to be. So it's always the same down from the top of any phone. It'll be the same length down. And that's it. I'm not going to give it sides, because I'm telling it to be in the center, so I don't have to worry about what the sides are, the alignment to the sides. Then when we put a picture in there, we're going to then align it to the text. Center it and align it to this. Okay, so again, let me draw that on the board so that you can see. This is really a critical part of how to make things align in this program. Here we go. We have our app. We have our text box. And then we're going to put a picture in. Okay? Picture in. So we're going to center this text, as well as this. Not at the same time, but I'm just pointing out that we'll do one at a time. Then we're going to tell it how far down we want it to be. Okay? From the top. Okay? Then I'm going to put the picture in there. And I'm going to tell it how far down from the text I want it to be and center that. Then we'll put a box of text, multiple lines with the person. Or actually, let's do this. Instead of doing that, let's put a menu on here. Let's put a button on here. How about we put a button on there? Two ends. We'll align that button to the center also, and we'll align it down here like this. And when they click on the button, it goes to a new screen. And we'll put in some text. Or how about this? Instead of doing the text, we're changing it up. How about we put a web page in here of the Wikipedia page of that person, of that famous person. We can do that. I think we can do that today. Then we'll have a back button up here, back, that goes back to here. I think we can do that right now. I'm sure you can do it. The only problem you might have with the web page is if the computer blocks the ability to load a web page. Sometimes it blocks it and you have to give it. That would be the only problem with that. Okay. Let's try it. First thing I'm going to do is center this on the screen. Remember, move it around so that the blue line shows up so you know it's in the center. Move it around, make sure the blue line shows up. Next, you're going to come down here, these little icons. Let me move this window up a little bit so you can see it. I'm going to move this up. So the way you align things is over here. Not this one. Don't use this one. This one's called Embed In. We're not going to use that right now. But the one that says Align right there. Do you see when I roll my cursor over, it looks like a bar chart, like a little bar chart? I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say Horizontal Center. Horizontally in Container. Do you see that? Horizontal. What that's going to do is say, hey, always be in the center of the app. And hit add one constraint. Boom. What that does is it tells it, you see that line right there, that blue line. It says, hey, you're in the center all the time. Next, I'm going to move it down from the top. If you, not this one, but the one next to it. This one's called the alignment. Add a new constraint. That new constraint is I'm going to tell it to come down from the top. So if I click on this one right here, do you see it right here? Add new constraint. Boom. What we're going to do is right now it's recognizing how many pixels down. You see it right there? It says, hey, yours might be different than mine. Depends on the position of your text on the screen. I'm not going to worry about the ones on the end, the 81, 81. Yours is going to be different. Don't worry your numbers according to the name of the text. And that bottom is recognizing how many pixels up from the bottom of the screen. I don't want to give that because that's going to be different on any phone. The only thing I want to do is there's a, see where it says 38 right there? At least on mine, your number might be different. Do you see there's a little line underneath there? There's like a little dotted line underneath that number. Click on that. Click on that. Right here. Boom. And I'm going to say add one constraint. Boom. What that has done is now I have constraints on my text. It tells it how far down on the screen to be, and it's in the center. You see a little blue line with the two things like that? Okay, so that's set. Let's put our picture on, and we'll center it and align it to the text. To put a picture on, you're going to use an image. So I'm going to put an image box. So if you go over here to the insert window, or this little box right here, this one right here, this one right here, library right there, do you see it? I'm going to click on there, and we want to look for the one that says image, I-M-A-G-E, image view. Image view. And I'm going to take that image view box right here, and I'm going to drag it into the screen, and I'm going to put it in the center. See how it's blue like it when it centers it? So again, you want image view and put it in the center. You can adjust your box a little bit to, you know, if your picture is a little square, make it a little square, if that's a word, square, something like that, whatever you want. Whenever we put the picture in, we're going to learn how different ways to put a picture in. You can shrink it down to fit the box. You can make it bigger and it crops part of the image. So maybe if you have an image here, let's just look at that. There's going to be a couple different ways. So maybe I have a square box here, but my picture is kind of more like this, right? Well, you give it constraints, tell it how big it is, where it is in space, and you can actually put the picture in where you shrink it down, or it'll squish the picture. You can squish the picture in the box if you want, or you can actually crop the box so it gets rid of maybe the edges. Like mine's kind of like this, but my thing is square. So I can get rid of the edges and just kind of, it's like cropping in Photoshop or something like that. Or you can squish it down to fit in. So there'll be different options. You can choose whatever option you want when we get to it. First thing we want to do though is make sure this is in space where we want it to be. Remember center? Remember center? So first thing we're going to do is center this. I'm going to click again the one that looks like a bar chart right here. It says alignment. Do you see that one? It says alignment. Click on that, and we're going to say contain center. Center. Center align. Now it's red. And the reason why it's red is it's mad. Okay, red means mad. And it's mad because it doesn't know where it's at. And you told it to be in the center of the space, but it doesn't know how big it needs to be. So we need to, whenever we're doing an image box, we need three things. We need width, height. So we need to tell it how big it is and how high it is to set it. Then we need the position, and again, we're going to position it from the thing above it, whatever that is, the text. So we need to do three more things: width, height, and how far down from the text. So when you see red, red is bad. Yes, I understand red is bad. Yellow is but it's not as bad as bad. So here we go. The reason why it's mostly complaining is it doesn't know what size it is. Do you see how the red box is around, the red line goes all the way around the box? It's complaining it doesn't know what size the box needs to be. Whenever you put any of these assets in there, it doesn't know, you put a text on there, it doesn't know how big the text needs to be. You put a picture on there, you put a web page in there, it doesn't know what to say. So first thing you need to do is go to this one right here, the one that has the add new constraints. Do you see that one, the second one we used before? Inside there, you'll notice you got width and height right here. Do you see that? I'm going to check these two boxes. What that does, it tells it how big it's going to be. That's going to set the size of the box to the screen. Then, of course, how far down. Remember this one? Notice it's recognizing 30. What it's recognizing is the text. It's recognizing not the edge of the screen because there's something above it, right? There's text above it. So it's recognizing what is the next object above, and it's going to put the number in accordingly. So this is not the top of the screen. This number is the next object that's above it. So click in that arrow that's there, and then hit Add 3 Constraints. Oh, blue. It likes it now. It knows how big it needs to be. Do you see the blue line there? The blue line there? And it knows how, do you see the little arrow that's coming down from the text? Perfect. This is nice and aligned. Now we got to put the picture in there. To import the picture, the easiest way to do it is to drag it in there and not try to import. To drag it in there, we're going to go and over here to where it says Assets right here. Do you see where it says Assets right here? Boom. This one says Assets right here. Do you see it? Assets over here. I'm going to move my window around because I need to find my picture that's on the desktop. So I might need to move. You might need to move your window around a little bit. Oh, here's my Nathan right here. And so I'm going to find my picture that I have, and I'm going to drag it into this window where the app icon is. See where it says app icon right there? Appcon right here. Do you see that right there? Drag it into this window. It should turn blue. Boom. Puts it in there. Now the picture is part of Xcode. Again, you might need to move your windows around. Find your image on the desktop. Click on it and drag it into this window right here. Again, I'm in the Assets window right here. Assets. Drag it in there. Next, I'm going to go back to my storyboard. Now, of course, I don't see my image in there yet. That's okay. No stress about that. I don't see my image in there yet. But what I kind of do is I can click on the image itself. So click on the image, and in the upper corner, make sure you're in the attributes right here. See where it says attributes? In the attributes, the first one says image right here. See the one that says image, the very first option right here, image. If you hold the arrow down there, it'll say Nathan in there, which is the name of my file that I just imported, and your image will go in there. Again, it's all kind of squished, because what it's trying to do is take that image and squish it in there. But of course, we don't want a squished image in there. What do we want? We want it so that it looks appropriate. So once you put your picture in and it looks kind of squished like that, if you go to where it says content mode right there, content mode, see where it says scale to fill? I can click on there and I could say aspect fit, and of course it squeezes it in the box, but of course the ratio is not the same, so it kind of squishes it like that. Aspect fill, there you go. Look how it cuts off the edges like I just told you. See that? If I click outside, it'll actually it will cut these off. It looks like it fits there. Redraw, it squishes it. Center, ooh, don't do that. Top, whoosh, don't do that. Bottom, ooh, don't do that. Left, boom. Right, top left, top right. I'm going to say aspect fill. I'm going to say aspect fill. Watch what happens if I say aspect fill and I go and test it. I'm going to test. Remember, to test your app is in the upper corner here. You might want to save before you do that in case you blow up. Right here in the arrow in the upper corner right here, if I click on that, it should test it. And in theory, it'll cut off the edges and only show what's inside the window. No, it showed the whole thing. I know there's a way to adjust image size. Semantic. So it's not cutting off the edge. I thought it would cut off the edges. Clip to bounds, that's it. Here we go. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna quit the simulator. So quit the simulator. There's one, and if it crashes like this back to here, remember to get back to the window. To get back to the window is in the upper left corner right here. This one right here in the upper left corner right there. In the upper left corner. In the upper left corner. This one right here. Go back to the main storyboard. Remember I said I wanted to cut off the edges, Again, if I have it selected, I need to say clip to bounds. There's a checkbox right here, clip to bounds, and that will cut off the edges. Because I wanted to constrain it to the box, and I'm going to get rid of those edges. Remember how I drew it up here? Right? You use the clip to bounds, that'll cut off the edges. Now that looks better, right? It's like a cross version. Clip to bounds right here. Okay, so we got a picture. Okay, almost done. Everybody got a picture in there? Does it look beautiful? Did you get a picture in there, Matthew? Oh yeah, if you delete the app icon, it'll crash the system. We'll just do it again. It's easy to start over from scratch. Let me finish my discussion and I'll hopefully show you some stuff. You can keep building. It won't let you test it without that app icon. I don't know how to bring that back. I'll have to think about that. Okay, let's make a button that goes to another screen where we can put some other assets on it. So the next thing we're going to do in this case is we're going to put a button on there. So I'm going to click down below. Okay, so here we go. Let's put a button down here that goes and say more info about Nathan. So if you come over here to the little arrow that points down right here, and we go and we're going to type in button, B-U-T-T-O-N, button, and I'm going to drag a button onto the screen right here. I'm going to kind of put it below where the picture is. And let's type in the text and say, how about more, whoosh. Type in more, whoosh. More info. There we go, info. More info. More info. Make sure it's in the center. More info. So, again, we're doing the same thing. You got to tell it where it's at in space. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to center this as well. So I'm going to go over here. Remember the bar chart looking thing right here? The bar chart looking thing? Click on that, and we're going to say center horizontally. Boom. And then notice how it has red around the outside. Let's not worry about the red around the outside. I know it's kind of complaining. It's basically complaining that it doesn't know where it's in space. Now, unlike a picture, I don't really need to tell it what size to be as far as height and width. But what I do need to tell it is how far down it needs to be from the next object above it. So again, it's this one right here, the one with the little square and the arrow things on the outside. If I click on that, I just say how far down I want it to be. Don't worry about the edges yet. We'll get to doing all that. And don't worry about changing any of these things. You don't have to change anything else. And just say add one constraint. Boom. Okay. So we have our text. We have our picture. So the same thing I did. Make sure you center it. Again, this is centering it horizontally. And then this one tells it how far down. Okay, now we're going to make another window. We're almost done. We got like 3-4 minutes. We can finish it right now. Okay, so we're going to make another window, another view. Okay, because right now we only have one view, this view. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Remember down here there might be a plus and a minus to zoom in and out. So I need to move my windows around a little bit here. So here it is. I'm going to zoom out. Okay, so this thing is called a view. I can move it around where I want. I'm going to put another view in. To put another view in, I'm going to go over here to the pull-down menu right here, the same place where we get a button and a label, and I'm going to put in view, V-I-E-W, view, and I'm going to put in what's called a new view controller. A view controller is basically a view, a window that you're using. So I'm going to drag this from here out. And now I have another kind of screen. Okay, did you see it? It's called a view. Just drag it from there on out. Put it towards the side. You can put it wherever you want. You can put it here. We're gonna have multiple views, so it doesn't matter alignment-wise or anything like that.
Can you show how you did that again?
How to get the view? It's
I'm still moving my.
Again, right here in the library. Go to the library and type in the word view. View, and then take the view controller and drag it out onto the screen, and you'll have a new view. Everybody got a view? You could change the color of that view if you want by clicking in that view. Let me zoom in a little bit. So if you click in this box right here in your view, you can then again go over here to where it says background right here, and you can choose if you want to suck up the color from before. It should automatically be here at the top. It should be most recent color that you used because it recognizes the colors you used. So up here towards the top, you'll see there is one that is the same color as the background, so they're both the same color. Everybody see that? Next, I don't remember how to deal with all the different settings that I did for the text. So I'm just going to duplicate the text. Duplicate the text. So if I click on the text here, that's up here at the top, I'm going to copy this text over here so that I don't have to try and remember font and all that stuff. Remember I put all that font and all that crap in there? I don't want to have to remember all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my Option key down and I'm going to click and drag over here to the other side and it'll duplicate. So again, I'm holding Option key. So click on the title, hold on Option, you got these two hands there, Option on the keyboard, click and drag the text over. It should duplicate it. Option, click and drag should duplicate it. You got to hold the Option key the whole time. So undo that and do it again. Option, click and drag. Did you get the text over? There you go. Okay, let's put some information about our guy in there. We got Elon Musk. Okay, I don't know if we can bring the web page in. I'll have to think about it. It's only one line of code. It's only one line of code. I just can't remember it, is what I'm trying to say. I would have to look it up in the dictionary. You want to try the web page anyways? You want to try? Yeah, let's try. Let's try the web page anyways. Okay. So you're going to go back to the view and type in web. You're going to put in a web view. So here we go. So click off this. Click off that. Oh, we need to put this in space though. Uh-oh. Before we do that, I'm so sorry. Click on your text again. Just like the other one though, it needs to be told where to be in this space. You might have duplicated, but it doesn't duplicate the constraints. Okay? So again, center, how far down? Center, how far down? So, because this is a new, different view. Center, and then how far down? Don't worry if it's a little different, that's okay. Next, let's put in our web page. So again, up here, see the little arrow, the library up here? See the library right there? Click on that. And this time we're going to put in a web view. Web view. Oh, it's deprecated. WebKit view. I guess don't use web view anymore. It's deprecated. We're going to do WebKit view. You see the one that says WebKit view? I'm going to drag that out. And just like your picture, you can change the size. You might make it a little bit bigger. Make it a little bit bigger. Oh, make it whatever size. Because again, don't fill the whole screen now because we're going to have a button that goes back. A button that goes back to the other one. So, I don't know. This looks like a good window for the web page. I'm thinking of how the programming would be. It's not going to be easy. We would have to make a new. The problem we would run into with this is that we have to make a new Swift file to put the programming in. Yeah, I don't know either. I think it's just view. I think you just need to click off and on. It was a render. The screen was not rendering properly. Okay, the problem I see with this is that we need to have a Swift file for this view, and then we need to take the web page and put it into that view through the programming. That's the problem I see with putting the web view in there. Well, let's get it to go back and forth between the screens, and then I will think about how to program the web view. How about that? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to position this. Remember how we position. Again, I'm going to center this. To center it, again, I'm going to use the bar chart one, this one right here. Boom. Do center line, and then boom, top from the text down. Boom. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, we got to give it the dimensions too, because it's a window. Make sure you give it width and height as well. Okay. Just like you did with the picture, make sure you give it width and height. That's under here. Width, height, and down. And now it's blue is happy. Blue is happy. Okay, let's make a navigation. So let's get it to go back and forth between the two views, and then I'll think about how to program this. And I have to go to the restroom first and come back and then think about it. I'm going to go get a book that I can read it from, because the code is in the book. Or we can look it up in the dictionary as well. But I don't think that we would have to make a SWIFT file for this view, and then apply the program to that SWIFT file. Let's make it go back and forth, and then we'll take a break. So here we go. I'm going to make another button on this side over here. I'm going to put it underneath here, kind of towards the bottom. And I'm going to make a button. Again, a button, B-U-T-T-O-N. And let's drag our button out. And we kind of put it all the way at the bottom down here. And let's title it back, because we're going to go back to the main page. Center that just like we did before. And then center it on the page just like we did before. Center, and then how far down from the picture or from the window. So again, I'm going to zoom in. I just put the word... Oh, don't want to do that. So I put the word a button down here that says back, and it'll take us back. Okay? So again, I put one. Make sure you give it center and down. So let's do the programming to get it to go from one window to the other. So this will be the last thing we do, and then we'll take a break. Here we go. So for the more info right there, I want it to go to this screen, and when the person hits back, I want it to go to this screen. So to get it to go back and forth between screens, you click on the actual button itself. You're going to hold the control key down on the keyboard, and you're going to click and drag to this window. Control. You got to use two hands for this. Control, click, and drag from the button to this screen right here. And it'll then come up with a segue, which is called an action segue. Do you see that? And we're going to say show. So when the person clicks this button, it's going to show this screen. And we're going to do the same thing for the back button. I'm going to click on the back button. I'm going to hold the control key down on the keyboard. And I'm going to click back to this one, go back to this one. And I'm going to bring my left finger up and say action segue, show. And it'll go back to that one. So again, how you get it to go from one view to the other is you have a button, you hold down the control key and click and drag to that. And so if you test your video, or your app right now, you'll have your Nation of the Explosion app. And when you click on the More button, oh, it crashes. Why did it crash? That's not good. Make sure you go back to here. What did I do wrong? More? Why? That didn't work. And then this one should go back to that one. What's wrong with that? This is iPhone. Let me save. Let me quit. This is running here. Simulator. The simulator's running. Let me quit and start again. I think because my simulator was running. Uh-oh, now I got a bad link on my picture as well. Oh, my picture's there. There we go. Let me try again. Test. There we go. More info. Oh, it crashed. Did yours all crash too? Yeah. Why did that not work? It should have worked. Maybe because that web view is in there, that's why. It's probably because there's that web view in there is confusing it without, because we didn't give it any programming for that web view. Hold on. It's probably that. Let me delete that. Let me delete that web view. And let me test again. Yeah. It's because that web view doesn't see the actual. If you get rid of the web view, it'll actually work. It doesn't know what to do with that web view, and then my back button is all in the wrong position because I moved it. But it does work if you delete that web view. So if you delete that web view, it should work. Go back and forth. Again, go up here to go back. See the little folder in the upper corner? And then try and get it to go back and forth. That would be good for you to see that it does work, though. So I deleted the actual web view thing, and then I was able to get it to go back and forth. Oh, yeah. My back button's all the way up here. It doesn't know where it's at in space. Okay, I'll have to think about how to do the web view. But hopefully that gives you a sort of